तो ये जो पैनल डिस्कशन है, हमारे साथ जो एक्सपर्ट्स यहाँ पर अपनी बात को रखेंगे, उनसे हम विशेष रूप से निवेदन करना चाहेंगे कि अपने क्षेत्र में वो जो काम कर रहे हैं हमारे साथ हमारे विशेष रूप से जो हमारे ऑडियंस हैं उसके बारे में हमें जानकारी दें। और फिर हम उनसे जानना चाहेंगे कि व्यक्तिगत रूप में आप की क्या सोच है कि हमारा देश कैसा होना चाहिए, जो हम न्यू इंडिया के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं। सो व्हाट इज़ दिस न्यू इंडिया of your dreams? If you can share that thought with us, and then also share with us what each one of you are doing and what each one of you think that you can do towards the growth and the progress of the nation, so that जब हम 2047 में अपने भारतवर्ष के 100 साल को सेलिब्रेट करें तो हम सही मायने में, सही रूप में एक स्वच्छ भारत, एक समृद्ध भारत, एक सबल भारत, एक सशक्त भारत, एक रेजिलिएंट इंडिया, एक आत्मनिर्भर भारत में अपना योगदान दे सके। So unlocking the nation's potential. Our nation has a lot of potential. We heard from the Honorable Minister how we have been seeing the brain drain, how we can control that, how we can actually unleash the true potential of our country and make India a rising star globally. That's what we are going to be discussing and deliberating. Let me invite our panelist, Ms. Shweta Pathak, the State Executive Committee of Delhi BJP. She's a member of that. Former Vice Chairperson of Northern India Regional Council of the Institute of Chartered Accountants. Ms. Shreya Dubey, the Executive Director of Indigo Motors Private Limited. Mr. Vikas Gupta, the CEO and co-founder of Resiliency Program, India Private Limited. DrHitu Mahajan, the co-founder and CSO of Sobomio Consulting. And the session is going to be moderated by Ms. Swati Chaturvedi, a renowned journalist. If I request her to please join us.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I, like the MC has already welcomed you to the 14th National Conclave on Building New India, organized by Integrated Achievers. So a rapidly growing economy with world-class technology and a skilled workforce. India is slowly inching towards becoming the next superpower. Today, we have gathered here to discuss the future roadmap for the enhancement of current infrastructure and recognize that ending poverty and other deprivations must go hand in hand with strategies that improve health and education, reduce inequality and spur economic growth, all the while tackling climate change. It is my honor to be on this panel discussion. So we have with us Vikas Gupta, who is the CEO and co-founder of the Resiliency Program, and he has more than 18 years of experience in qualifying, developing consensus for deploying technology and enterprise systems that support business operations and strategic objectives. I welcome you, sir. We have with us Shreya Dubey, Executive Director at Indico Motors Private Limited, and she established her firm in 2018 called Eastern Auto, and she became the country's only female industrialist in the vehicle sector. Welcome to the discussion. Then we have with us Shweta Pathak, who is the CA, and she is the only female elected in the Northern India Regional Council of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. She's also a member of the State Executive Committee of Delhi BJP. And we have with us Dr. Gambhir Mahajan, a media marketing and communication strategist, content writer, director and producer of business shows. She has been honoris causa by California University. Okay, so we begin with sir. So sir, what do you think is the roadmap for the future of India? What kind of technology does India require at this moment to take it to heights?
Thank you. See, human assets or are the biggest assets for any country. For any country to progress and to any country to proceed and succeed, सबसे पहली जो चीज़ है वो तो आप healthy होने चाहिए. You should be healthy. You should be healthy by your body, you should be healthy by your mind, and then only you can make a healthy decision which can take the country forward. So, opportunity is there in India. India is the fastest growing economy right now, right? And as we all expect that India will be a superpower, if not now, let's say 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line. But जो उसके लिए लोगों का health important है, और उस health के लिए हम resiliency program के अंदर we measure your burnout, we measure your stress, and we try to give you a more healthy lifestyle, right? आजकल किसी के पास टाइम नहीं है कि आप 1 घंटा योगा करो या 1 घंटा मेडिटेशन करो. लाइफ इज़ सो बिजी. और ऐसा भी नहीं है कि आप बोलो मेरे को तो स्ट्रेस हो ही नहीं सकता है, क्योंकि अगर आप सेल फोन आपके हाथ में है तो स्ट्रेस आपके हाथ में है. ये स्ट्रेस तो आप लेके चल रहे हो, कभी हाथ में कभी पॉकेट में, राइट? सो द आइडिया ऑफ रेजिलियंसी प्रोग्राम इज टू इम्प्रूव द हेल्थ, द इंटेलेक्चुअल हेल्थ ऑफ अ इंडिविजुअल, make them more healthy in mind, and at the same time which will enable them to take healthy decisions, and that's how the country will proceed.
Totally agreed. I think we all belong to fields which are extremely stressful, and it always adds if you are mentally fit to face challenges at office as well as at home. So, okay, so Dr. DrHitu Gambhir, what kind of challenges do you feel a woman entrepreneur still faces in the country?
So, very good afternoon, first of all. So what the challenges women faces is, it's herself, it's her mindset basically, which actually stops her from being what she would love to do it. If you see on a stage, we have more women over here than men. So these women, those honored women, they have not stopped themselves at any point of a time, and they believe in themselves. And today, this is the time they're on the stage, and they have been felicitated with the awards, and they have their own recognition on their own. So what I believe, a woman is the only person who stops herself, and once she walks, and the entire world walks with her. So this is what my thought process on this.
Beautiful, beautiful. And as Shweta just mentioned, on the stage, we are like about 4 women sitting here with 1 male panelist. So yes, I think I totally agree with your point. Shweta, what do you think, is the one thing which will shape the future of the country?
It would be very difficult to say one thing, but in my opinion, technological advancements along with legal financial awareness is very important to change India. What I would like to say is that whenever we are legally aware, financially literate, and technologically aware, we think something different. If you talk about any field, let's say a person is doing business, and that person is really aware about the regulatory requirements as well as the updated technology. That person would think about the business process re-engineering. He would re-engineering how the things are being done. That would save his cost, increase revenue, and that person would be able to constructively help in the development of the country or development of the economy. If I talk about a different sector, like agriculture, there was a lot of criticism regarding the farm bills. You must be remembering about that. But we all forgot regarding what was the intent behind that. Agriculture is seen to be a very old sector, but that also needs some changes. If we are able to adopt new technologies, then that field would also be a very booming sector. For example, in last budget, Honorable Finance Minister said we are thinking upon fertilizers being sprinkled on farms through drones. That's a new innovative thinking. And also, in many forums, our Minister Nitin Gadkari ji has mentioned that if the farmers are working on ethanol production, and that would be a very, very beneficial thing for the agriculturist because in two ways. First thing, that they'll be getting more revenue out of their produce, and also we are creating clean fuel, and that will be a sustainable thing for our future. We are creating clean fuel, like in the current scenario and current global situations, you know what are the prices of fuels, whether it be CNG, whether it be diesel, whether it be petrol. But if we are able to get new fuel and new energy, and that too a clean fuel, that would be a new thing for new India. So in my opinion, if we are able to think differently and act according to that, with all our positive mindsets, that would be a good thing for new India. Thank you.
I'm sure. And it also, it accounts also for sustainability as well, because, that is one of the sustainable development goal for India. Okay, moving on to Shreya. Shreya, what do you think? Generating a skilled workforce is very important at this point if we have to move ahead. How important is it?
See, I would begin with, when we talk about workforce, we often include the youth of the country. When we talk about workforce, we often include the educated. But what is left behind, according to me, is the category that lies below poverty line. Where the project that I am working on currently is on solid waste management. And when we talk about solid waste management and the processing and transportation of solid waste management, the most exploited category of workers that we see these days are scavengers. There are a lot of NGOs that have come up recently that work on the empowerment of scavengers, but there aren't really too many technologies that can actually replace their work in a country like ours, which has a huge population, and along with that, a huge amount of waste that is generated every day. So when we talk about employment, we are coming up with an entire cycle where from beginning with the scavengers till setting up a multi-story or a huge industry for proper segregation and management of solid waste, which is a big and which is the utmost need of the country currently, and with the rising amount of landfills that we have across the country, it is going to be the biggest health hazard, as sir said. If a person is not mentally and physically fit, and if a person does not know or is not aware, as ma'am said, if a person is not aware about the financial services that the government has and the financial or the overall benefits that the government can provide us, we as entrepreneurs could utilize that and provide that particular information to the people around and to the projects that we are working on. And when we talk about mental and physical health, it is not possible if the locality that we stay in is not clean. People these days, they look for procedures that are very simple. When I talk about simple procedures, I talk about convenience here, where people need door-to-door waste collection. People need an end-to-end solution. If we talk about waste segregation, what happens after that? Once the waste is segregated, once it's dumped inside the bin, after that it goes to the same landfill where there is no dry and wet waste separated. So that ultimately is of no use to us, because the landfill does not segregate the waste. Whereas if there is source segregation, why do we talk about Indore? We talk about Indore that has segregation at the source, and not just at the source. They tell you, the government and the local municipal corporations and the authorities there, they educate the people of the entire city, and what they do is they tell them that what you can actually do out of your waste.
So how did it start? How did your project start?
Okay, so what we do is we have currently come up with a machine, or we can say it is a transportation solution, where we have twin segregation units. So what happens is, one of the unit is completely for wet waste and the other one is for dry waste. When we talk about wet waste, it can be compressed up to 80% of its volume. And what happens is, when we talk about wet waste is generally generated from households. It is from the food we eat. the basic the kitchen waste that we have, that mostly comprises of the wet waste. So when that is compressed, it releases a liquid which is collected in a leachate tank, which can be used as an organic fertilizer as well. So that first level of segregation is done at the source itself when a woman comes outside her house and dumps her kitchen waste into the wet waste vehicle. So after that, then what we do is we are coming up with an entire solution where this particular vehicle will move to, there wouldn't be a requirement of transfer stations that our government currently has. We have transfer stations, we have large-sized, what do we call it, garbage compactors. So the garbage compactors, what they do is they completely compress the mixed waste, and then that is led to the landfills. Here, when we talk about separation and segregation at the source, what happens is half the processing work of the wet waste is done at the source, and then that particular waste can be dumped into a different set of vehicle, and that can be moved to the wet waste processing plant, and the dry waste can move to the landfill or the processing unit where it can be further. So what happens is the quality of work that the scavengers do currently, it improves that. Then the overall manpower, and when we talk about sustainability on this platform, what I mean is that the overall fuel consumption, the overall manpower exploitation that is happening with the scavengers, all of these right from scratch till the segregation plants that we have, the entire quality of work is improving. So this is how we contribute. So this is my opinion on the topic. Thank you.
Okay, so you think that corruption does erode the investors' confidence in India? What do you have to say about that?
See, corruption in any form is bad, right? It always erodes, right? Unfortunately, can you get rid of corruption? It's kind of difficult, right? And it's not only in India. Corruption is at every country you talk about. You talk about United States, you talk about Japan. Yes, they are developed countries, but there is still corruption there. Probably not at such a low level like the way we have in India. And a common person doesn't really feel that kind of corruption in developed nations, right? But whether corruption has to be get rid of for the country to progress, yes. Is it easy to get rid of corruption? No. How can we get rid of corruption? I mean, the basic thing is if you start focusing on the lifestyle of people, if the people starts getting good salaries, if they start getting good quality of life, if they think that, right now we have just started the company in India, and it was such an amazing experience. Everything is online, right? Corruption is automatically reduced. I'm not going to any office anymore. I'm not going into a clerk's office. I'm not going into any, Haryana Urban Development Authority or anything like that, or any of those certificates, right? It's basically, that's how the corruption ends. And that's a great initiative which is taken by the government of India, where they are saying everything has to be online, and you can do everything online, and you can just submit your forms, and your applications gets approved and comes in the mail. I think that's a bold step, and that's a very, very good step, and positive steps towards reducing corruption.
Right. So is digitization or Digital India an important part of building India?
Yes, Digital India mission is a very important part in this process. And in other words, I would like to say Digital India would pave the way for Amrit Kal. And while I was sitting downstairs, I was just seeing the logo Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, and I got a different thought regarding it. What do we mean by Amrit? Amrit is something which gives a person a limitless life. So, in my opinion, that is sustainability. So that thought came in my mind that we are heading towards sustainable India. It symbolizes that. Coming back to the question regarding Digital India, Yes, it is very important. If these days, even especially after COVID pandemic, people are learning technology. Although our Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji has always been focusing on digital India, but till the time situations became like that everyone had to compulsorily come towards technology, people were not very serious. And when COVID came in, that time people started working from home. Students started studying from home. Schools, colleges started coming online. So a lot of things are being done. I would like to say a normal ABCD like A for apple, B for ball would go away. The new thing would be A for artificial intelligence, B for bots, C for cybersecurity, D for data analytics, and so on. So a lot of changes are coming in India with advent of technology. And it is very important that we adapt to it. And although most of the people are started using a lot of technology, but still, I would like to say, along with positive things, it has some disadvantages like cyber security issues, some threats like that. So we have to be very careful and aware while using these things, because everything has positive and negatives. Everything has two sides of a coin. So we have to be very, very careful.
Yes, we have to strike that balance. And also with the proliferation of the internet towards rural areas of India, you think rural economy is booming too? Will it be a part of building India?
Yes, it would be. I would like to touch upon a thing which we generally do not talk about at forums, which is financial inclusion. And that is very important part, and that is possible through Digital India. I would explain how. If I talk about the GDP of our country, almost half of it is through unorganized sector. And how we integrate that unorganized sector with the organized sector would be through technology only. And what I would like to say regarding this is, let me start with an example, like normal Jan Dhan accounts. What it was a initiative for financial inclusion. And when our Prime Minister called for it, people were making fun. And they were thinking what would happen if people would start with zero balance bank accounts. But later on, when COVID came in and there were direct benefit transfers coming in directly to the bank accounts of people, then people realized the power of technology, power of financial inclusion. So there are a lot of things we need to understand. Generally what happens is government is thinking a lot about the people, but we people are very busy in our own lives. We do not pay attention to what are the benefits government is trying to pass on to us. So it is very important that we become aware of that. And there are two kinds of people, like educated and illiterate. If I talk about illiterate people, they are lacking some skills, although we have to make them understand. But it is very sad part that even educated people, they are not trying to understand. They are so busy in their own lives, they do not read the things. For example, government has talked about any policy. Rather than understanding that policy, they would just go to Facebook or any other social media platform. They'll say what other person is saying rather than understanding what government is creating for them, for a better future, for a better India. They would just start criticizing, thinking about views of some destructive mindset people. So we have to also ensure that such things are curbed. And we are very well getting connected through internet for our villages as well as urban areas. So internet is a very powerful tool as well as it has got some threats. So we have to ensure that that is used positively, and it is the responsibility of each one of us that we create awareness positively, and people around us, we are motivating them, educating them towards what good the government is doing, towards how things can be positively taken, and how productively we can utilize the resources what we have. Thank you.
Okay, so Shweta just reinforced the power of the internet, and we all understand that how it is a force to reckon with, and we should be taking it seriously. So that brings me to Dr. Hitu. What do you think is media a big player in building India? Do we still call ourselves the fourth pillar of democracy?
So it's a very valid question from to a media professional. So yeah, media actually build what we are today. It actually changed the perception of what we think today. The media has given us the the thought process entirely. What we are seeing ourselves right now, sitting here, or probably thinking and probably talking about anything. So, and like the way the women as a gender has always been very strong. And it has always being a person who has a very good operational manager, I should say. She is taking care of her home, she is taking care of whatever she does. Whether we talk about Amul, whether we talk about Lijjat Papad, but who has brought them up is the media. We talk about them, women, as in women has been celebrated across the world, and women has to be placed all above what she has been placed today. So yeah, media is the fourth pillar, which we say, and in terms of communicating any important information, whether we are communicating any hatred, whether we are communicating any love, passion, compassion, media in any form, whether it is a television, whether it is a social, whether it is a digital, has been considered the best one. And it is the only platform which we makes our decision, which creates the differentials, and which actually brings in harmony to all of us. It is the way who is actually driving the media. It's the people who are the opinion leaders who are actually driving the media actually makes the perception of the world and India.
How nice. So, like we discussed about digital India and obviously media, Shreya, what do you think? Do content creators really make a difference nowadays? You being the youngest on the panel.
I think, and I'm very sure you'll agree to it, that yes, content creators do contribute a lot to what people see, be it for entertainment, be it for knowledge, be it for any reason. But if it is there out on Facebook or on Instagram, no matter how much you ignore, 90% of the people will agree to this, that we have most of the time on our phones. And maximum time that a person generally spends is over the phone. And what you see and what you understand is what you acknowledge and what you accept. So content creators, they might be watched for entertainment, but yes, they do have a very, considerable amount of impact on a person's mind. And that
People are getting influenced, that is
Yes,
for sure.
people
Whether it's
are
finance,
influenced.
whether it's entertainment, like you mentioned.
Correct.
Or whether it's politics, even,
Right. Yes.
I'm sure, ma'am would agree that, I feel so that, in the near future, parties, political parties will take the help of content creators to maybe, garner more votes.
They have already started, I believe. They have already started, because the way if we see, the way the elections has been won, the way the perception has been created, it is all media. I don't want to take the name precisely, but we all know sitting here, so what I'm talking about. So, of course, the social media, the digital media, and the media set creates the perception of what we want to drive it. So actually, media in entire world is driving our thought process, our lives, our lifestyles, what we are. So this is what the power of
Integral part of building India.
internet,
Yes.
and the
You want to add
the media.
something, sir?
Well, I just want to add one thing. Just creating the content will not really change the perception, because, content is good, yes, but then there has to be proper analytics which comes along with content, right? Whom should this content should be presented to? And that's very important to realize, right? Once you create the content, yes, I have the content, now what? Who should I give this content to? Should I give it to a woman? Should I give it to a man? Should I give it to 16 to 18 years old, 18 to 30 years old? That's very important. So content has to be distributed properly. And then what you talked about the elections, that's only because you had that data. where you said, I want to target Mr. Vikas Gupta and change his perception about the present company. For that, they have to know my taste. They have to know what kind of content I follow. They have to, for changing my perception, they have to change my feed, right? So let's say I'm just taking an example here. Let's say I'm a big ABC party supporter, and XYZ party wants to change my perception. So they will start showing me XYZ content on my Facebook, on my other channels, and that's what changes the perception.
Okay, thank you so much, all the panelists, for sharing their nuggets of wisdom. Hope you had a lovely time.